Sometimes I feel like this music, quite a change from our regular episode music, where we feel like we really kick the doors open on the other one.
Mm-hmm.
These episodes, nice and relaxed.
Yeah.
And we just come in.
Saloon doors.
It doesn't make sense, though, because this episode is called The Fast Five.
Yeah.
It should be a bit more aggressive, but, chalk that up to, again, the laundry list of no planning we've done for these episodes over the years.
Yeah, and I had, before this episode started, we were talking about how are we going to get the Fast Five to that elusive 20-minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I know how to do it, and that's by doing what the Fast Five was intended to be, and that is doing it quickly.
We're doing word association today.
Yeah,
We're
that's
going back
right.
to the roots of the Fast Five, Steve. So let's kick it off.
Fast Five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Not
You
at
want to
all.
start this, or you want me to?
Let me start it this week,
All right.
Steve. Steve, Major League Baseball. You been following this?
Yeah. Do they have a plan yet?
Shooting themselves in the foot.
Okay, stupid.
Talk about that
On the turnaround.
Confederate statues.
I'm so torn on this. Like it's I think it's stupid that they existed to begin with because, well, they lost.
Right. But you know what?
But at this point, why?
I have some arguments for it. Not for it, but this is a weird situation.
Yeah.
I'm more curious about how this randomly jumped back into the limelight.
Yeah,
Talk
it
about
is
that
weird. It is weird.
On the turnaround.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle.
Oh, I saw.
Watch that 30-minute special?
No, but I saw that. Was it what's his name from CNN?
Don Lemon.
Don Lemon. Yeah, I saw that he
got a piece of that action.
I saw. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I'm interested to hear.
Me neither. So you won't be getting that info from me.
Okay.
No-knock warrants.
No-knock warrants.
Been following this at all?
No.
The news. It's essentially what led to the death of Breonna Taylor.
Okay.
In Kentucky.
She was the one that was like asleep in bed.
Yeah, asleep in bed. They executed a warrant for her boyfriend. Some whatever went down. She was shot and killed in her bed. They are now banned in Kentucky. I believe Kentucky, maybe just Louisville. There's now a push to make them banned nationally.
Okay.
Lastly, Steve, UFC Fight Island.
Yeah, UFC Fight Island. Spoiler alert: this is also on my list.
It's happening.
Dana White did it.
An island off the coast of Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
They're going to have an octagon on the beach.
Yep.
Resorts in a 10-mile quarantine bubble that only fighters and team can be in.
Yeah, like they pulled it off.
But it feels like at this point to me it's unnecessary because things are opening up now. Like they're running events in Vegas. Mm-hmm. And obviously with no fans. But that's not going to change on an island.
Right. Like, there aren't going to be fans on an island.
But I guess it is something cool and unique for them to be able to run these events. Like a lot of, wrestling and whatever. They all run different events, specialty events, right? Like, hey, it's on a beach. It'll be memorable. So
but the main reason that they did it is because there were fighters from other countries.
That's right, yes.
Couldn't gain entry into the U.S. because of all kinds of... Like, are all of those restrictions still in place?
I believe those are. Okay, so this is going to allow...
So this is still a way around it.
Yeah, and Dana White has to offer fighters, I believe most every fighter has to offer every fighter 3 fights a year.
Okay.
So you're kind of in a bind when 3 to 4 months of that year you can't have fighters in the United States.
Right.
So this is his way around it. So he's going to be running 4 events in, I think, under 4 weeks on Fight Island off the coast of Abu Dhabi.
It'll be interesting to see.
Before that, no-knock warrants, a new push... I'm not going to say anti-police. That's not fair to put it. But against the authorities that have been granted to police in the past now lately, you see cities and townships and municipalities looking to defund police. So you're now talking no-knock warrants to where they can essentially break in your door without knocking and declaring that they're police. You're now seeing a push to make that go away in light of everything that's happened, not just with George Floyd, but with Breonna Taylor in years past.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable too.
Yeah, I would bet though that there will be restrictions. I feel like the FBI is still not going to ask.
Yeah,
I feel like if the FBI is executing a, whether it's a RICO or for mafia or whatever, a search warrant for that, they're not going to be.
Yeah, I feel like there are levels here.
Wake up, hitman, killer.
Yeah,
we're coming
it's us,
in.
the police.
Yeah, so there's still going to be exceptions, and again, the federal government authority is much different than a state level, and even federal police. Like a federal mandate for state police is still going to have its exceptions for bigger cases. But yeah, it's a groundswell of movement here as we move towards a new level of policing in the United States. Before that, Dave Chappelle dropped a 1 a.m. 30-minute long YouTube special.
So it's not stand up in front of a...
I haven't watched 1 second of it. I know it's less funny, more poignant, more about the state of affairs. Recorded a week ago, Steve.
Okay.
So very current, very modern, but obviously I think this probably fell outside the scope of his Netflix deal, where you got, him and Seinfeld. All comedians get paid millions and millions of dollars to do their stuff for Netflix. People said it's good.
I'll watch it later on today.
But yeah, he put Don Lemon in the crosshairs for whatever reason. Dave Chappelle, though, not known for backing down, obviously. Dave Chappelle, if he's got something to say in an issue with a personality, black or white or authority or not, he's going to bring it up.
I love listening to him. I love watching him. And I read some story last week about how it was a firsthand account of years ago how there was a woman in the crowd that was heckling, and he basically turned the spotlight on her and gave a very poignant speech and basically gave her a history lesson about slavery and the way black Americans are treated in the United States. And it was from the way that this person wrote it, I was like, man, I wish that there was video of it, because it was a great account, but I'd really like to see how it actually unfolded. By all accounts, one of the top stand-ups of all time. Yeah, that's a dude that you don't heckle. Don't heckle stand-ups to begin with, right? Because they're going to be funnier than you no matter what you do. Yeah, but especially Chappelle. That guy is so quick, and he's freaking awesome. You're only making yourself to be the butt of every joke if you want to try that. People they're not up on stage because they're because they're stupid or anything. Right. They're up there because they're very quick and they're able to quickly put together thoughts and responses, and you're just going to get destroyed. Right. For that, Confederate statues. I put it on here for the reason, my question is, how did this come back? This was a thing a couple of years ago, and now in the midst of all of the Black Lives Matters, the protesting, all of the things going on around that, boom, a news story this week, and it's hey, this Richard Jefferson monument, the president of the Confederacy, that's gone. Robert E. Lee, gone. And now you're seeing the name of the honors college at Clemson University was named after John Calhoun, who was a slave owner and a former vice president and president way back in the day. They wanted his name off of the honors college. Yeah. So it's I understand the connotations that go along with these names and with these statues. I listen to, and I'm self-admitted, I'm a diehard fan and listener of Dan Le Batard's show, and he's been digging into this a lot these last few weeks. Which I'm surprised by. I'm surprised that he's allowed to. But he's been given the okay, because the entirety of ESPN has been doing this now. Yeah. And he's made light of that, where he was essentially suspended a year ago for claiming that the president has created racial division. Right. And that was when the entire policy of no politics on ESPN came about. Yeah. And now they've 180 take away sports. Not a whole lot else to talk about. And he's brought up a good point that he understands the concerns of where's the overcorrection now. Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know when I'm just curious, Steve. Is this a byproduct of what's going on? Because it feels like it died down, right? 2 years ago, this all happened, and they were taking down statues in the dead of night. And then these protests and everything start happening again, and the injustices and police brutality situation are brought way back into the forefront. Did you see that video from England of the statue being a bunch of people pulled down a statue, I think it's in London, of somebody who was a slave owner. There's a statue that's been standing since the late 1800s or early 1900s or something, and there's a theater named after the guy. And protesters pulled the statue down, rolled it down the street, and threw it in the river. It's incredible video. I just listen. We're at a point in American history. I think overcorrection is a massive concern, and I say that because is the Jefferson Monument next? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Is the Washington Washington was a slave owner himself. I am Yeah, it's weird for me because I don't think I'm qualified to comment on this because I'm a white male.
Sure.
Who was in no way affected by slavery.
Sure.
Like that's like textbook white privilege right there.
Right.
And so I don't know. It's part of me is like, okay, well, how far back are we going to go, or what?
Right. I don't know where the stopping point is here. That's my only.
I don't
concern.
feel right about even saying that because I don't. That's not for me to decide. I don't think.
I don't know who it is for. I don't know if anybody should be able to decide that, though. Yeah. Outside of now, listen. I understand a lot of these, memorializing and building up the idea of a Confederate general in your town where slaves were sold and traded, and how that is insanely disrespectful to the legacy of what African Americans went through in that area. But the honors college at Clemson University from a former vice president or whatever, I don't know. Because again, like I said, Thomas Jefferson, a notorious slave owner, George Washington, a slave owner, most founding fathers in that generation were a part of that group.
Yeah.
And I know they're not wiping that away. The history still exists. But are we staring down the barrel of a Washington, D.C., the mall where there's just nothing?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Or everything's renamed.
It's just, again, that's my only fear is, again, I totally understand and under the Confederate generals and Richard Jefferson having a monument for being the president of a insane failure of a movement in the Confederacy. That's laughable to me. Now, if there's a monument or a plaque to where, hey, this is where the Confederacy, president's home sat. To me, that's a different set of that's a different can of worms, right? Because those are historical sites.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know. There's too much to be said. I don't know. We'll be curious. It doesn't show any signs of slowing down, Steve.
Again, I don't feel qualified.
Well, I'm looking to you for answers.
Oh, well.
And lastly, as we blow past the 20-minute hope, Major League Baseball,
we're going to do this.
They shoot themselves in the foot, Steve. They still don't have a plan in place. They were essentially given the keys to the car to be the first sport to come back.
Yeah.
Because they had already done some spring training. They had teams gathered. Obviously, they had to send them home, whatever. They were given the keys to this car, and what they did was throw the keys into the river and slash their own tires.
Because they've come up with a bunch of different ideas. It seems like every day we hear about a new
It's rejection
idea.
After rejection.
Yeah, because it seems like the major holdup is the Players Association. I mean, both sides, they just can't agree.
It's money on one end, it's money on the other. The players want a full prorated portion of their salary, which would be, if they play 81 games, it'd be 50% of their salary. The owners are offering them anywhere between 50 and 85%
like some
of
weird
their
sliding scale.
Well, that got rejected without a counter proposal. They've now come up to 85% of their prorated salary if a postseason is played. And the players
I don't understand why it wouldn't just be prorated.
The owners are now claiming that was agreed to in March with the idea that there would be fans in the stands. So the owners are standing to lose money. They're going to lose money anyway.
Yeah.
It's a back and forth that as of now doesn't show an end. But if there isn't, they're risking the owners forcing a 48 to 50 game season using some clause or using some ability that they have in this agreement. And the players being beyond furious, and we're staring at a work stoppage that I've talked about, Steve, on Sports State, after next season. It is, I can't believe, and this has happened with baseball in the past. They had the 94 strike where there was no World Series.
The 94 strike is what made me not care about baseball anymore.
That's what they're risking right now.
I like you talking about this right now. I'm thinking to myself, okay, so the most boring sport won't be here this year. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Don't care.
I was texting with a friend and who didn't fully buy into this, but Steve, the only thing that allowed them to recover from the strike shortened 94 season was steroids.
Yeah, it was.
It took a few years, but it was Mark McGuire.
The new 30 for 30. Yeah, the Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire. What is it? And
the Forgotten Summer, the
Forgotten
Long Summer.
Yeah.
It took steroids to bring baseball back from the precipice of honestly being an afterthought. We don't have steroids anymore, Steve.
Why don't we? We should bring them back. Let's start. Okay, you and I, grassroots effort to put steroids back in baseball. Give America what they want.
Hashtag bring the juice back. That's what baseball needs.
Hashtag squeeze the juice.
I've thought about it because I have a lot of thoughts on this that I think
you want to get into steroids with me?
You want to try them out?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do one cycle. See what it does.
All right.
I do a gripe of the week during it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
you're going to be full of rage.
It's going to have to be outside because I'm going to be throwing things. Going to be biting, like eating your pillows. This is honestly a cause because part of the reason I stopped Sports State was there were being no sports. But Sports State was never about the actual sport. It was about issues bigger than sports and issues
Sports State was kind of the 30 for 30 of the audio world.
Right. But I think
that's what some would describe it as.
Some are saying that. I think that this is a cause for me that I have enough thoughts about that. I think I need to bring an episode back to talk about baseball.
So Sports State next week?
I think I'm on vacation, so I'm gone actually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
I'd hate to.
Coming soon. Well, unless I can record a Sports State from an island, between the lower and upper peninsula, Steve. I don't think that's going to be...
When are you going?
This Tuesday night.
All right. Today's Saturday.
Don't have time. I got to pack and mow a lawn and work.
Fast five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, a couple of duplicates here. First, UFC Fight Island.
I'm excited even though I hate Dana White.
Next, NASCAR.
Good. I'm glad to see that there's at least a token effort to make a change in that culture.
Yeah, absolutely. Defund the police is next.
I don't know how it would work.
I think that's worded poorly for that to be a movement. But
it's too late because that's the name, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's very misleading because it makes it seem like take away all the money and the police are disbanded.
Yeah, it has a negative connotation. You can lump it right into the group who calls himself Antifa. Yeah, because on its surface, anti-fascism is a positive movement.
Good. Yeah, it's good.
So defund the police is now lumped in with this group where, I'll be curious to see what plans would be for this. I don't know how it would work.
Because it worked in Camden, New Jersey.
Yep.
Where like 6 or 7 years ago, they basically disbanded the Camden Police Department and they formed a county police force with more officers making less money, having more boots on the ground to make more of a change in the community as opposed to just responding. Yeah.
Call, respond, because that's where you're actually risking excessive force when you're being called to things that probably don't need police presence.
The NBA Bubble League is next.
The NBA, I'm not saying it's been smooth sailing so far, Steve, but as of reports of this weekend, they're now risking a bit of a mutiny in this proposal, which seemed to be good to go and everybody's ready to roll. But now reports have come out, Steve, that representatives for all 30 teams weren't even on this call to approve this.
Oh, boy.
Let alone all the players weren't notified and allowed to vote in a union league. But in general, it probably would have passed. But now we are talking about a player-led coalition, I guess you can call them, led by Kyrie Irving, who's a bit of a nutcase anyway. He's a flat earther and just a generally weird dude. On a call with 80 players saying, during these times of racial unrest, I don't think quarantining a mostly African-American league looks good.
It's it's an interesting perspective.
So,
I mean,
I don't think anything's going to amount from it. But you're also talking about Kyrie Irving, who's not going to play.
Yeah.
He's not even a part of this because he's injured and it said he's not coming back this year. So you're talking about a guy speaking for a lot of people, a lot of guys who probably just want to check.
Yeah.
And who probably aren't looking at the optics of being quarantined as racially motivated, because it's not, because that's the way every sports league is looking into coming back, being quarantined so you don't risk an outbreak. But yeah, listen, I'm here for this is the year for leagues to throw 80 balls of mud at the wall and see which one sticks, right? If you're ever considering something crazy and see if it sticks, try it now. And here we are with baseball, who can't get out of their own way. Basketball, who's granted they're trying something a little different. You're talking play-in tournaments, which is a neat idea.
Yeah, baseball. Give me something good, like run the bases in the opposite direction or something.
Start a runner on second if it's a tie game in the 8th. Home run derby for...
that's great. Yeah, have 3 pitchers at the same time.
Yeah, and you never know which one's actually throwing that time.
No, all 3 throw.
All 3 throw. And if you hit 2 of the balls, it's an automatic home run.
It's basically like Rock and Jock NBA games from back in the day. Do you remember Rock and Jock? I think that I might be just old enough where that wouldn't have been a thing for you, but it was for me. Yeah, they would be like the celebrity games where it would be like... a bunch of NBA players, then with a bunch of like the MTV VJs, and a bunch of music stars, and they would have these crazy games of basketball, but there would be all these crazy rules. Like there was, you could take a regular shot worth 2 points, 3-pointer obviously worth 3 points, but then there was like a 10-point line, and then there was a hoop that was like 25 feet up, and that was worth like 50 points.
What I want is
do
for
yourself.
To be
you need to go on YouTube and look up Rock and Jock MTV games from the early 90s.
I want ideas though, Steve. Like the manager of each team of baseball has an air horn that once a game they can blow, and for 3 consecutive pitches it has to be a tennis ball.
Boy, we're getting real sidetracked here because this was about the NBA bubble league.
I'm just saying, I've got good ideas, baseball, if you want to hear them out. Right, I'm curious to see the first league actually come back. I want to see it.
And finally, the presidential election. Remember that? There's going to be an election.
We've got a lot to get through before I'm even willing to think about how that's going to work, because they're going to need mail-in ballots, but that's going to be a fist fight to the end.
Yeah.
And
until we can figure out the Rock and Jock rules.
Yeah, we can't talk about the election.
Can't talk about the election.
Come to me with ideas for basketball where for a 2-minute portion during every game, random times, a trampoline is on the floor instead of the hardwood.
Oh, and the mascot gets to play. The one who always does like those crazy dunks from half court.
And then another 2 minutes before the end of half, all points are worth 4.
Yeah.
Listen, NBA baseball, I am here to revolutionize your games. Call me.
And since most basketball games are played in arenas where hockey games are played, maybe one of the quarters they're on ice.
Hey, how about for 1 quarter or for part of the game there's no out of bounds?
Oh yeah, I like that. So anywhere you can be up in the stands.
Yep, that goes for you too. Baseball, no foul balls.
So they have to play the ball no matter where.
No foul balls
no
for an
where
inning.
It lands.
Yep. So you just deck one into the stands and start sprinting your butt off to get a home run every time. So you got an outfielder in the left field stand. You got an outfielder behind home plate, because there's something to be said about hitting it behind you.
Yeah, because so then
the nets are still there though.
In that case, you can have in the case of baseball, you can have 5 additional players.
Yeah, and I'm thinking football. 1 drive per game is a Nerf.
Oh, but not just a regular Nerf. It's got to be the Nerf,
the Vortex
with the tail on it that makes the
absolutely. It's got the whistler on it and everything, Steve.
Okay, so I think that kind of covers NBA bubble league
and presidential election.
Okay, defund the police. Boy, that really.
Yeah. What do you think about moon shoes on a player for an inning? Right? What do you think about those?
Okay, now NASCAR.
Ball pits. Right?
NASCAR?
Yeah, good for them.
I am.
I'm a
NASCAR fan now. I'm a Bubba Wallace fan now.
It's a move that's a token move on the surface, but it's a move that it should have been done, and for them to progress and maybe gain people to watch it. Mm-hmm. It's a move that should be done.
Yeah, I think it'll do more good than bad. Yep. You're going to lose a lot of NASCAR fans based on that decision.
You're going to lose the 1990. The people who are wearing 1996 Jeff Gordon T-shirts, and I'm not saying that's Jeff Gordon related. I don't want it to come off like that. I'm saying you're going to lose those people who were there in the 90s who are pining for Richard Petty and who complain about the models of the car nowadays anyway.
Yeah,
who aren't contributing money or anything to your advertisers anyway. You need to upgrade and you need to change to a new clientele, a different clientele that can come in and enjoy your sport as you change, because you're losing fans and viewers, into different formats of racing anyway. It's a good time to try to change and bring in new viewers.
And UFC Fight Island is the first.
I'm interested. I'll be watching it. There's a few good fight cards there. One's pay-per-view, 3 will be ESPN. So you'll be able to see it whether you have basic cable or cable, or you want to pay for a pay-per-view. A novel concept. Reminds me of WCW's Bash at the Beach.
Oh, yeah. From what, like mid-90s?
Yeah. So where there's a ring on the beach. And this, I think it's unique. I hate Dana White. I think he's a dirtbag, but I think this is a good idea.
All right. Look at that. In just over 26 minutes, we have done it.
You know what? Next time, in 2 weeks, nothing coronavirus, nothing racial divide related.
Nothing ball pit related.
Oh, hey. Hey, you, watch it. Right. 2 weeks, nothing racial divide, nothing coronavirus. Out the door 20 minutes.
All right, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Steve and Kyle. There's probably some polls up on Facebook and Twitter right now.
Yeah.
From the last episode. You can check them out. Again, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Steve and Kyle. Talk to you next week.